Welcome to another episode of the Dandelion Reflections with Caroline and Christopher. And we have a very interesting topic today, at least I hope so. And what is the topic today, Caroline? And welcome, by the
Yes.
way.
Oh, welcome. Thank you, Christopher. Good morning, everyone. The topic of the day is gaslighting. It has been the word of the year, one of the words of the year chosen by the Merriam-Webster dictionary in 2022. So it's still something we talk about quite a bit.
Right. And gaslighting, um, as you mentioned, everyone is talking about gaslighting, or at least quite a few people. And where does the word come from in the beginning?
Yes, it was first used, the word gaslight, in a play called Gaslight in the 1930s. I haven't watched that play. It has been made into a movie also.
Hmm.
And in this play or movie, one of the protagonists, a man, was manipulating his wife and by making her believe she was crazy. And how he was doing that, he was changing the intensity of the gas lamps in their
All
house
right.
from the attic. Okay, so he
Hmm.
would turn down the intensity and she would notice it, and then he would tell her that basically her perception was wrong. The
Hmm.
goal was again to have her labeled as crazy and in order to get her assets. So this has been used since to apply to any situation where someone is attempting to manipulate a person. There usually exists some kind of differential already or inequality, whether it's based on race, gender, or socioeconomic status. And the gaslighter will try to get something from the victim by destabilizing him or her.
Okay, well, so it's such an old word, but was there anything specific that made it gave it this boost to be so
Something
become so popular?
something specific, I would say, in my opinion, is the rise of narcissism in our world. We live in a very materialistic society that's ego driven and where there's a lot of competition and a scarcity mentality.
Hmm.
And this is a word that I've heard more and more over the past years. I would say pre-pandemic, I would hear it more and more. And I actually asked one of my residents, I was teaching at the time, was mentioning that, labeling that. And when she said what it was, I said, oh my gosh, this is what I am going through.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I started to pay attention to this, to deconstruct this, to label it, to confront people who were gaslighting. Didn't go so well.
Well, we'll get to that later, I guess,
Yes, yes,
because this is something very interesting. Okay, becoming aware, that's step number one. So
yes,
let's start there.
yes.
How gaslighting, uh, we, yeah. So you mentioned controlling people.
Hmm.
The gaslighter
Yes,
once has this intention.
yes,
So
yes,
yes, where are the red flags? Where should the warning lights go on if people think this could be gaslighting?
yes. So it's usually happening in a verbal communication. And the person who is gaslit or gaslighted suddenly starts to feel confused, doubt, they doubt their perception, they're destabilized, they're stunned because they're like, oh my gosh, this person is saying something that didn't happen, or this person is saying that I
Oh,
lie.
hmm.
Or so an example could be like, you know, two people talk and the gaslighter says, no, that didn't happen. No, you're crazy. What? You're imagining this. So the person starts doubting,
Hmm.
their own truth. And And that's a way to gain power, because if a person is destabilized, there's the fight flight response that we talked about, and that gets, activated, and then the frontal lobes are shut down, and then you can't think clearly, and then the person has an advantage and can manipulate further. And this ultimately erodes the self-esteem. So then the person loses
Hmm.
self-confidence in interactions. Well, I don't trust myself. I don't think I can speak up. So it's just a vicious cycle. And
Oh,
so those
wow.
red flags are really, I would say, physical and also emotional. It happens in the body. There are sensations, and there's just a bad feeling. It's like this conversation is just not fruitful. It seems to be like someone wants to pin me down. I just have this feeling that this person is just not trying to have a dialogue, but just a debate, or everything I say is put on trial. It's really a bad feeling, and it's an indication usually that there's a power dynamic going on, and gaslighting might have been used to maintain that power imbalance.
Right. So, um, many of us may or may not have experienced gaslighting by themselves. Maybe they didn't yet know that it was particularly gaslighting in
Yes,
relationships.
yes,
Um, so where else can we see gaslighting around us?
yes. Relationships in the workplace, in courtrooms. So think about
Hmm.
attorneys grilling or cross-examining witnesses, and also in the media and on the political scene.
Right. So that's basically all around us, right?
All around us, wherever there's a power dynamic, wherever someone is powerful, wants to control it, and has an agenda.
Hmm.
Yes.
So these to become aware might it seems to me like raising awareness is the way to go, both for ourselves and to make other people around us aware of that this is happening all the time.
Yes. Yes, because once there are a critical mass of people who are aware, then this method won't be effective anymore. So we need to, just like bullying, we need to call it out. You need to make people responsible, hold people accountable for this behavior. So same
Hmm.
goes for gaslighting, but we need to raise awareness. People need to know about that. I read books about the subject, and I discussed with professionals. So I
Hmm.
learned, and I continue to learn. But it's important to deconstruct any phenomenon that is destructive in order for us to be empowered, and
Right.
also stop blaming ourselves, because it there can be a lot of self-blame, and it's part of the gaslighting. No, it's your fault. The gaslighter twists things around. There's a lot of projection happening. So they
Hmm.
know they have done something wrong, but they'll try to place the blame on you. And often the victims are empaths too, so they will absorb that easily. They, by nature, empaths are so prone to recognize their mistakes and blame themselves and take responsibility. But it's important
Yeah.
to, assert our boundaries and protect them.
And much too quickly say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's my fault," and uh, please don't leave me. So,
Yes.
if we go back some steps, and what in your from what you have seen, what is the typical surrounding where people are confronted with gaslighting, and let's say before they actually get aware of it, become aware of it, where does it most of the times happen?
It happens in homes, in
Hmm.
domestic partnerships, but also between parents and their kids. Some parents might actually gaslight their kids, say, "Oh, can't you take a joke?" Or, "Come on, I was just joking with you," even though the parent was actually trying to terrorize the child to have power over the child, and the child's in
Oh.
tears. "Oh no, I was
Hmm.
just joking. Can't you take a joke?" And then the kid feel feels bad in two ways: to have been ridiculed, and then
Hmm.
to feel like, well, I can't take a joke, therefore I must be defective. So it adds
Right.
another layer of the trauma. So in households, in workplace situations, when we're forced to be productive and competitive, there's a lot of pressure in
Mm,
certain organizations. These are settings where it's quite common. And again, courtrooms, political scene, the media, all
mm.
to manipulate people. That's the goal.
So let's say I've become aware of something is happening here, and I see, or I uh, I think I see there's some foul play, some foul intention going on, and someone is trying to manipulate me.
Yes.
From this moment where I realize this, and how can I take the next steps? What is the next thing I can do to um, maybe not gain power, but at least don't lose my own power and worthiness?
Yes. It's very important to, unfortunately, try to not engage and try to not have the person on your side or see your viewpoint because it's gonna get even worse. Often as empaths, we want to help. We want to tell the gaslighter what they're doing in the hope that they'll change because, oh my gosh, if someone would tell that to me, you're gaslighting me. I would pause and say, wait a minute. Okay, what did I say? Okay, this is what I meant, and I'm sorry. And
Yes.
but no, those gaslighters will have been exposed in their tactic. And this is
Right.
infuriating for them. So basically, they've been found out and they're threatened. So I would say you have to kind of play low profile even more.
Hmm.
Sometimes it means agreeing with them just to de escalate. Say, oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. And walk away from the situation because they
Wow.
want to engage and they
Hmm.
want some more of your words and your energy because they use that as ammunition. They're also energy vampires usually. So you need to give them as little energy as possible. And it's like, oh, yeah, yeah, you're sure you're right. I was stupid. Okay, bye. But don't believe that truth. Don't.
Right. Right.
It's just to shut their mouth. It's just to end the discussion that is not going anywhere. So that's how you can regain your power. And you kind of chuckle because you can say, like, okay, I'm kind of using self-deprecation a little bit and making light of that. So not taking on oneself too seriously, but deep down, you know you haven't said or done anything stupid.
Hmm.
This person has um ill intentions and cannot be trusted, but you can't say that directly to them. So you have to be really careful and protect yourself because in the first place, if you've been gaslighted, and this is what I wrote in an article, it's because you were probably a truth teller. So the title of my articles was Congratulations, You've Been Gaslighted. And I was kind of making a joke here, but I was also serious that in the sense that gaslighting, as traumatic as it is, can be good news. You're a dandelion, you bear the light, and people don't like that, so they will attack you.
Right.
They will try to dismantle you. So just remind yourself of that to rebuild your self-esteem also in parallel. But definitely knowing that it's a game they're playing and you don't play that game, you just like do checkmate, whatever, and you leave, or you say something completely out of context, some kind of onomatopoeia or something, and that was destabilizing them, and then you walk away or something. You need to get out of the situation. You need to find an exit. Don't engage, don't fall in the trap of being tempted to reason with them and
Because
to,
what, I'm sorry,
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
because what happens in this moment is suddenly this power, I have power that suddenly drops, which derails the
Right,
strategy of the gaslighter, right?
exactly. Yes, yes.
And I'm guessing, and we will have a future episode about the topic of narcissism. Um,
Mm,
this many people connect gaslighting with narcissism.
yeah.
Is that just a perception, or is that true?
I'm glad you bring this up, Christopher, because there is an overlap, but not every gaslighter is a malignant or severe narcissist. Some do gaslighting, mild gaslighting, but they're not aware of it. And once they are, they have enough empathy to change that. So some people have just bad habits or not paying attention to what people say, and they just feel like they want to be right, and they want to be effective in the communication, and it sounds like gaslighting. And it is in reality, it is experienced as gaslighting, but once they know what they're doing, there was not the intention to manipulate. They were just trying to feel more comfortable in the discussion, and then maybe they were a little bit of it, a little bit of it. There was some shame, and then
Mm-hmm.
once they are, not shamed further, they feel, they have trust and they can work on their behavior. But narcissism, yes, will often come with gaslighting. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if gaslighting is severe, I can tell you that the person is probably narcissistic. I think there's a strong correlation between the two and a strong overlap. But there are some cases of gaslighting where, yeah, it's minor and then it can be corrected. And just like with narcissism, there are some mild cases like the garden variety narcissist, the exuberant one who just brags about everything he does or
Mm-hmm.
she does, but not wanting to manipulate people to the point of destroying them. So they won't necessarily resort to gaslighting. But the moderate to severe narcissists, yes, they will probably use that in their arsenal or repertoire because that's the next level of warfare. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that more
Mm-hmm.
people have more power over their bodies, over their assets, financial situations, and ideas, what's left? It's really attacking their spirit. And that's the gaslighting. That's what it is about,
Mm-hmm.
eroding someone's self-confidence. So, yeah.
When you mentioned earlier that it happens even in between parents and children,
Yeah.
and I can imagine that there in families where this happens, this can have serious consequences for the children,
Yes.
and maybe even uh, betting for future misbehavior because this children recording what their parents are doing. Oh, this
Yeah.
is how you do to do this and that, and then they may copy that in their um,
Yeah.
later lifetime.
I've seen that. You're right, Christopher. And that's really tragic because
Mm,
children who are victims of that from their parents, and usually the parents are narcissists, those who do that, I mean, repeatedly, if it's a pattern, right? These kids are at risk of being re-victimized, so gaslighted again in the future, or being gaslighters, like you said. They might use
mm,
that as a tactic, because they've been programmed, they're just reenacting what they once experienced. So yes, so we need to break a cycle. That's another reason why we need to raise awareness, is really to break that
yes.
cycle.
And can we look into the courtroom situations just a few minutes? How can that
Yes.
look there?
Yes, well, think about a situation, usually in the court, there needs to be a winner, right? It's
Mm,
usually because someone wants to win. There needs to be a loser winner, whether it's divorce cases or a murder case, someone is right, someone's wrong. So it's very binary. Okay.
hmm.
So there needs to be that kind of power um, for that to happen. And attorneys will resort to all kinds of tactics to get what they want and for their client to win. So they will do that. They will gaslight the opponent just to destabilize the opponent. So that's we can watch all kinds of movies, and I'm sure people could even identify and pinpoint that, like, oh, this attorney
Yeah,
is just like, you know, driving this witness into fight flight mode with their pressing questions,
right.
and it's like leading questions, they're
Hmm.
suggesting things, they're already assuming things, they're making assumptions, and they're already planting the idea in the person's head, making them doubt their reality.
Mm.
So that's I'm sure the cinema is full of that, and I don't have any specific example in mind, but I mean, I had a court experience, and yeah, I could see that happening. And I've
Hmm.
heard other people like me who were in similar situations, and validate that. So it's a very, very stressful setting. And
You mentioned binary. It's a binary
yeah,
world.
yeah,
And wow, um, I had this aha moment the moment you said it. That's what's happening around us, right? It's only good and black, good and bad, black and white, right and left, and uh, everywhere, and
yeah,
we're divided everywhere, and also in families, in courtrooms. That's something we absolutely have to try to avoid and
yeah,
become the light, to become the dandelion and be the light and not falling into this trap. So that's
yeah.
maybe one of the biggest messages we want to send out to you, the listener here with this. There's never binary situation, even if people out there would like to
Mhm,
let us think that. Um, so in these family situations, in courtroom situations, there are so many different perspectives in everything. So
mhm.
breaking it down, making it so easy to just having black and white one and zeros, there
Yes,
that's never the full picture. So we need to have this higher perspective and to see this. And
yes.
again, awareness is what's helping there. And so yes, um, we are we're forced into a stressful situation for our brain in this fight or flight mode, which makes our thinking less um, productive, less. I'm missing the word here. Um, so our
Effective.
cognitive parts of the brain are less effective.
Hmm.
So this is intentional. So awareness is one thing we mentioned that is a way to step on the brakes or step out of this game that someone else is trying to put you into.
Yes.
And um, taking a higher perspective. What is it this is all about anyway?
Hmm.
Um, did I
Yeah.
forget something, Caroline?
No, I think you've said it. It's a great way to start wrapping up because yeah, what do we do? It makes us feel powerless, and even maybe ashamed. Who likes to say I've been gaslighted? I fell into that trap. So we have to restore our self-esteem.
Mm,
We have to have self-compassion, and you are a strong proponent of that and practicing that. And we need to tell ourselves that in fact can happen to anyone. And if it did happen
mm,
to you, it's probably because you had some good stuff to share with the world, but it was too threatening and the world was not ready. So you were probably a truth teller. And maybe you were
mm.
gaslighted because you said the truth in the past and it was threatening the order that was in place.
Oh yeah.
It was
Mm,
threatening a structure, whether it was patriarchy, whether it's, other inequalities. And people wanted to make sure that you kept your mouth shut. So I think it's important to remind ourselves that, we do have power and it just sometimes the price to pay to have some
mm,
power and insights, but we have to embrace that mission. We have to actually join forces. And
right.
because it's also isolating. When you're gaslighted, then sometimes the gaslighter will pull other people in and say, see, I told you, look at her, look at him. This is
Oh.
exactly as I thought. I had told you, right? They're crazy. And it's like, it happened to me at some point
Mm,
I would say in an agency. I won't name that agency supposedly helping families. And I was trying to answer a question. They had asked a question, what are your needs? And
mm,
I felt like I shouldn't have answered that. There was something wrong because I said I would like to have a voice. I'd like my voice to be heard. There was something wrong about my answer. It was not the right answer, but I said, well, you asked a question. I'm telling you truthfully. And then someone said, oh, see, she's aggressive. I told you. And I looked at him and I said, can you please say assertive? I think I'm assertive. I'm not aggressive. It
right.
was
Well done.
Thank you. And I was so vulnerable in that moment, the whole session. But I reclaimed my power just through this, where I thought, okay, you think you can gaslight me indefinitely? I'm not going to let you. I am not going to have you define me. You might label me as
Wow.
aggressive, but I'm assertive. This is who I am. I know that. I'm not going to let you perpetuate that lie about me.
And this aggressive and assertive male and female, that's so common, and I'm sure
Yeah.
we will take up on that in the future because it's it's just one part of what's of all the things that are so wrong in this world.
Yes.
Uh, and this patriarchism, it's
Yes.
everywhere. And yes, um, when of course no one would wants to see their power be diminished. That's understandable from a human
Mm-hmm.
perspective. So uh, naturally, someone that sees their power um, taken away, even if it's just a small piece, will start to fight back. And as you mentioned before, not to engage in this is is a very good way to get out of it and to step out of their game.
Yes.
But it's so hard because we want to we don't want to seem to be the person in the wrong here, right? We want to,
Right.
especially when we're empaths. Um,
Yes.
no, no, please. And I know so much how this feels.
Yeah.
I've been in this situation a thousand of times. No, you have the wrong picture of me. Please let me
Mm-hmm.
explain. And this makes things just even worse.
Yes. I can totally empathize with that, Christopher, because fundamentally we want to be accepted, right?
Right.
It's universal. We want to be loved.
Hmm.
And we have to remind ourselves that the person in front of us doesn't like us, doesn't love us. And we need to accept that. We need to accept that not everyone can like us, appreciate
Hmm.
us, agree with us, or accept us. And we just need to let go of that and just protect ourselves. And yes, it's tempting to defend our point of view. But we eventually were forged by fire, and we realized, no, it's a game. It's like we're not vibrating at the same frequency, and we need to invest in relationships that are actually nourishing and with people who help us grow, not people who are trying to crush us,
Hmm.
you know, and destroy us. So, but it's a shock, because also they know where to push the buttons. They
Yes.
usually know the vulnerabilities. So they're very skilled. Even though they will say gross lies, it's like it's completely intentional, and it's the lies are so big, and politicians do that.
Hmm.
We won't give names, but like the lies are so big that people say, well, the person can make a lie that big, it must be true,
Yeah.
because nobody would dare lie like this. So there's got to be some truth to it. So that's part of the tactic too. So
And
either
this is
small lies, but big lies too. Yeah.
right. And this is something we've been seen long ago in history for
Yes.
decades, maybe even longer.
Yeah.
Um, I just I just remembered a situation in from my own life um, where I don't know if that qualifies as gaslighting, but let me just bring it up. A I think I was guided towards engaging in a conflict with a third party um, by someone else,
Mm-hmm.
used as I don't know.
You were triangulated?
Try. Wow, thank you. Yes, that's the word. Exactly. I was triangulated. Is that also a part, or well,
Yeah.
I'm sure gaslighting is a part of triangulation, right?
Yes. So to reinforce the behavior, the manipulation behind the gaslighting, some people will pull in other people, spectators, look, witnesses. that would support them, that would
Hmm.
make the victim feel more vulnerable, because there's again an asymmetry suddenly, not only in the power, but in the numbers. So becomes like a team. It's us against you. It's like, yeah. So yes, you might have been pulled to, someone might have used you to feel more powerful in a dynamic, a manipulative dynamic.
Oh my, this is interesting. I
Yeah,
suddenly a whole set of new doors is opening up, and I see
yeah.
even more clearly now. Uh,
Oh, good.
right on this, and I suddenly realize also where it came from, because this person had a very
Mm.
bad upbringing, and
Oh.
very sad story in fact, and
Mm.
well, I guess that was a way to survive. Um,
Right.
Again,
Yes.
programming, and we took this from our past. So, so to step out of this, if I am a a what's the right word again? Not the victim, but the
The
I
gaslighter or the
The
perpetrator.
gaslighter, yes, of course. So if I see myself, if you are listening to this, and you may have been thinking, oh, am I gaslighting other people? And you want to stop this, and of course we try to see both sides here,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, how can someone recognizing these patterns in themselves
Mm-hmm.
step out of this and become a better human, a better version of themselves?
That is such a great question. And I would love for people to come to me more regularly and ask me this, because it would give me so much hope for this world.
Yes.
Um, I would say, first of all, go apologize to the people you've done that to. Really apologize sincerely. And because you need to start repairing this destruction. Okay, you need to
Hmm.
also start repair the trust. They might not want to have anything to do with you again, but this is the right thing to do, is to
Right.
acknowledge. It's a sign of taking accountability and responsibility, and that's a sign of growth. That's the first step. So I would say that, and also working with a professional, either a counselor or a coach like you, to really relearn different ways of interacting, because sometimes it becomes
Right.
automatic. Sometimes gaslighters start believing their lies. They've been doing that for so long that they
Right.
believe their lies. They believe the
And
delusions.
we will become experts in what we do often, right? And what we train a lot. So of course,
Yes,
depending on how old we are,
yes,
we might have done this as a strategy for many years, and trying to get out of this may be hard, of course,
yes,
but there's a way. And the first way is, as you said, apologizing,
yes,
acknowledging
yes.
their own part. Okay,
Right.
I did this. I'm sorry. I see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, finding people that support you. Of course, that would be the second step.
Yes.
Um, and here, just out of my mind, I could imagine that finding a group where both
Mm-hmm.
gaslighters and
Mm-hmm.
victims are there, and to just understand what has happened, what can happen if I do this. Just imagine a world where
Mm-hmm.
we take this binary world and
Yeah.
just let it flow together, and we are all
Yes.
one, and
Yes.
I can't hurt you without hurting myself, right?
Oh, well said, Christopher. This is it. This is one of my biggest truths. You're right. You said it beautifully. Yes. Yes, that would be wonderful to bring people together. It would be nice that this experience would bring people together if there was a mutual understanding. And in order to do that, everyone needs to look at their own stuff, their own contribution, their own wounds.
Yes.
You have to be really wounded to do something like that to someone else.
Right, right.
We have to take ownership for that. These wounds don't go away, and they get passed down from generation to generation. We'll
Mm.
talk about that at some point. But yeah.
And let me just throw this out to people, or reach out a hand, is might be the better expression. Whether you're a gaslighter or a victim, and you would like to be here on our show,
Yeah.
we can certainly keep the camera off if you feel more comfortable with that, and just have a talk with us about this. Um,
Yes.
And so you're so welcome. We would be so delighted, and uh, that would be great to have you here. Well,
Yes.
uh,
I
right.
agree.
What else? We've mentioned. Let's look a little more into the victim part of gaslighting. So becoming aware, stepping out
Mm-hmm.
of the game and just making random comments, for example, and or just walking away.
Yeah, like,
That's
oh, the ice cream truck is here. Bye. It's
yeah, ice cream
totally
is always
random.
good.
Yeah. You can always justify a need for ice cream
Oh yeah, or potato chips.
or potato chips.
And then finding support would be
Mm.
another big step for everyone.
Yes.
Find people that just um, help you regain your own self-worth, right? Am I
Yes.
really that bad?
Right.
No, you are not.
Yeah.
Just don't just just believe these are just thoughts of someone else. You're not forced to believe that, right? Right?
Exactly.
But you are made to believe that. It's not you.
Yes.
Try to find yourself again.
Yes. I love that. Yeah. Friendships and relationships where you feel like you have a reflection of you that's actually accurate. You know, people will tell you the truth about you because they love you, they know you,
Right.
and they will remind you of your truth of who you are, basically, and encourage you to trust yourself and believe yourself. So
And and the
yeah,
intention is a whole completely different one, right?
yeah,
If you talk to friends, if you talk to loved ones,
yes,
these are on your side, and it hurts. But if it's your partner that you
hmm,
may have lived with and loved, or still love maybe, for such a long time, and you realize, oh no, there's something going on. There's some different agenda there that is
hmm,
totally in mismatch for your own feelings for this person.
yeah,
It's a huge step, right?
right, yes.
To
Yes, it's
realize that.
open communication and being truthful and intentional.
Mhm.
There's that these are the main ingredients to, living an authentic life.
Yes.
Yes,
Is there
yes.
more victims of gaslighting can do?
So we talked about, yeah, listening
Mm,
um, to the body signals and really becoming more self-aware, more in tune, right? In tune with ourselves. Self-care, nurturing relationships that are supportive, affirming,
mm,
and also speaking up, maybe joining our voices with others, kind of like you said, having a group or something, or coming to our podcast.
oh yeah.
So, you know, in whichever venue the person's comfortable. So really breaking
Mm,
the silence, I think, is important to break the sense of aloneness as well. And
mm,
that's part of the healing. And I would say make sure that you continue to put as much light as you can in your life and as much joy as you can, because you can't just let your life be about being a victim. And
mm.
it's unfortunate because a lot of people are stuck in that role for a while. I've been, and what did I do? Why me? And oh my
Yes.
gosh, this is terrible. Like just really feeling sorry for oneself. And it's okay. I don't judge that. It's just
Mm,
like we have to realize that we don't want to miss our life. It's not worth it.
right.
Right? So what is and actually our power will be expressed when we actually connect with our own gifts and talents and give them to the
Mm.
world. So that should be the focus. So really shifting the focus from, okay, you've been shaken, you've been pinned to the ground. Okay, now what? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm still breathing. Okay, I'm not dead. I can stand up. Oh, I can think. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
so recognizing all of those abilities that have been there all along, but they were just shut down, and then getting reacquainted with them, and okay, reconnecting with one's dreams. That
Right.
I think would be very important.
So, and if we realize that, okay, there's no easy way out of this, and there more often than not, there is
Mhm.
no easy way out of it. And
No.
sometimes it's just the best way to just remove yourself out of the situation, out of the relation, uh, even geographically, if that's
Mhm.
what's needed.
Yes, exile.
Right, right. Uh, so um, it 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 took me more than a year, 1.5 years to realize, okay, this has to end. I'm thinking
Mhm.
of a relationship I've been in, and to actually uh, take the first steps to really get out. I
Mhm.
I thought I didn't have the financial means. I thought it was me who's the wrongdoer. So it took a long time for me to actually realize that, okay, no, there's cut. It's
Yes.
not about who's right or wrong. It's not about um, winning. It's
Mhm.
surviving. It's your
Mhm.
life, and if you need to do this step to become a happier person, please do it. And
Yes.
there's always support. You just have to reach out and find it and ask the right people and find supporters that will support you in this step. And it's always there. Always. There's never, you are never alone. I think we said that before. You're
I
never,
agree,
you
and
are. It's true.
yeah, it's worth repeating and reminding ourselves of
Mhm.
that. Yes, we are not alone. And you're a great example of really being bold in a good way and taking risks, because there's this quote from Erica Jong, and I'm gonna paraphrase it, but she said that sometimes there's more to lose by not taking any risks than by, risking. We risk more by not taking risks sometimes
Yeah.
than by really taking risks. So, you really listen to yourself, and that's what we need to do. And there's so much uncertainty in life. There's so little we control anyway.
Oh,
So
yeah. Mhm.
we can control our attitudes or our intentions. We can work on them, but
Mhm.
ultimately how life unfolds, it's an illusion when we think, oh yeah, this went well because I
Mhm.
did it all right. No, there are probably other forces at play here. You did
Yeah.
fine, sure, but even if things are wrong, doesn't mean also it's your fault. So it's like, okay, we do our best, but we don't have the
Mhm.
control of the outcome. So,
In my coaching practice, sometimes I ask this very powerful question, and that is, whose life are you living?
oh,
And well, that lands
yes, yes.
beautifully in many people.
Are you living your life? Yes.
However, I'm sure we will take up
Mhm.
this how to end a narcissistic relationship in the future, and but this is just a little uh, prelude to that.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, a lot of narcissists tend to use gaslighting as one of their tools to
Yes.
manipulate and gain power. And
Yes.
again, it is so important that we don't become a part of this division that is ongoing all around us uh, in relationships, in politics,
Yes.
in courtrooms, at jobs, uh, at
Right.
workplaces. So just let us know if you would like to, um, what you have experienced. Comment. We'd love to read your comments. And again, if you would like to see any particular topics that we should talk about, we'd love to read about that too.
We're open to
Do we have
suggestions.
any good closing words?
I want to use your words if you allow me, what you said about living one's own life. And I want to tie that to the gaslighting because it's you can decide at any point to live your life. And that means the gaslighter cannot control your life. Otherwise, you live their life, their narrative, their lies.
Exactly.
So that's important to keep that in mind. They're trying to use you to live their own stuff. You don't have to do that. They're actually there in your life, maybe to remind you
Yeah.
that you need to live your life.
Wow. Yeah. And just imagine, just like 1 or 2 years from that moment there where you are right now, and you look back and you feel this
Mhm.
sense of gratitude for all
Yeah,
the bad things you thought you were experiencing at that time, and then just a few years later you look back and you were so grateful for whatever happens because then you're living that life that you always wanted to, right?
I think I'm getting closer and closer to what I always wanted. So there
Wonderful.
might be
Isn't
some
that
truth to
great?
that. Yes.
Yeah. Again,
So,
from victim to creator, right?
yes, I love it when you say that. Yes,
Yeah.
we are creators.
Wonderful. We
Thank you,
are
Christopher.
creators. Thank you, Caroline.
For-
And thank you, everyone who listened. And
Yes,
see you next time. Thank
yes.
you so much.
Be well,
Bye bye.
everyone. Bye.